Comes to one versus one, Arnold is often been criticized as one of the worst right backs in modern football. I don't expect Real Madrid to win the La Liga this season. I know Real Madrid fans would come at me and tell me that Real Madrid is the biggest team in Spain, the biggest team in Europe. There isn't much to talk about Atletico Madrid except the fact that they play very ugly football. Welcome to another episode of Backpass Tactics. We build backwards and transition forward because every goal begins with building from the back and passing forward. So today we're going to be speaking about La Liga, one of my favorite leagues in the world. So we're going to be talking about Barcelona with Marcus Rashford, Dani Olmo's situation, what I think about Lewandowski this season, and we're also going to be talking about Real Madrid with Arnold, how they might shape up with Arnold in the team, Xabi Alonso and what are his expectations, the need for Real Madrid to have a striker, and the Kylian Mbappé situation. We're also going to be talking about Atletico Madrid, the kings of position number 3 in the La Liga, the team that is known for playing not so attractive football. So let's begin with Barcelona. Barcelona this season have recruited Marcus Rashford. Here are my thoughts on the Rashford situation. I feel like Marcus Rashford is a great super sub player for Barcelona. Do I expect him to be in the first 11 for Barcelona? I don't think so, because if you look at the front 3 players for Barcelona, we have Lewandowski, we have Yamal, we have Rafinha. I don't think Marcus Rashford is better than any of the 3 players, but I still think he can contribute to Barcelona as a super sub. And the reason I say this is because Marcus Rashford can play as a number 9, can play on either wing. So he's a good super sub. In my opinion, I'd put him in maybe towards the 70th minute of the game. This is where he'll be chasing the defense and making the defense shake a bit, making the defense try to man mark him. This is when the defense of many teams will be tired. So this is when Marcus Rashford can come in. And he's also a good player as a number 9 when you want to rest Lewandowski. So now that I've dissected the Rashford situation, let's talk about Dani Olmo. Dani Olmo had a decent season for Barcelona. He was a super sub. He didn't play many games. I feel like this season, Dani Olmo should play more games for Barcelona. I feel as if Dani Olmo should be playing as the number 10 for Barcelona. He should be the playmaker. He should be the front player in front of the double pivot for Barcelona. This is because if you look at Dani Olmo, he's very good at pressing. He's good at cutting defense splitting passes, and he's very good at drifting wide. So he offers a lot of overload in terms of front players pressing the other team. So when Olmo plays as a number 10, he'll offer more for Barcelona. Imagine you're trying to mark Yamal, Rafinha, Lewandowski, and then you have Dani Olmo in the mix. So I just expect Olmo to play more this season for Barcelona. I expect him to have more games in the first 11, and my target for Dani Olmo this season is at least 10 assists and maybe 10 goals. Let's also talk about Lewandowski, a tried and tested goal scorer for Barcelona. I feel like this season Lewandowski might not have as many games as last season. The only reason I say this is because Lewandowski, he's aging. He's a very good player, but as the years go by, he's aging, and his age means that he cannot play every game for 90 minutes. So this is why I feel like Lewandowski should be rested in some matches that Barcelona play. Some matches he should play 65 minutes because as an aging player, you can't expect Lewandowski to be pressing for 90 minutes. And you know how Hansi Flick wants to shape up the team. He wants a number 9 that can run up and down, press defenders, drop the shoulder, drift a bit wide, drift to the central position. And Lewandowski, looking at his age, he's not as effective as some of the other dynamic players that Barcelona has. Now, here's my parting shot. I expect Barcelona to reach the Champions League final. Over and above this, I expect them to win the Champions League because last season, Barcelona were among the favorites of the Champions League, but they couldn't deliver in terms of actually winning the cup. I feel like this season, Hansi Flick's number 1 mandate is to win the Champions League. I'd expect him to win the Champions League over the La Liga. I don't mind if he doesn't win the La Liga, but he wins the Champions League. But if he wins the La Liga and he doesn't win the Champions League, I feel like this would be a failure season for Barcelona. Let's move on to the European Kings, Real Madrid, the team that has so many Champions League titles, the team that has more Champions League titles than Liverpool, Chelsea, and other EPL teams combined, including Arsenal, which has 0. So let's talk about Real Madrid lining up with Arnold this season. Arnold is a very good addition to Real Madrid this season. If you look at how he played at Liverpool, he was the player that was involved in creating a lot of assists, passing a lot of balls into the midfield, passing a lot of balls into the striking area for Liverpool. So Arnold shines better when he's protected by proper midfielders. This is what made him shine at Liverpool. So in order for Arnold to shine at Real Madrid, he needs midfielders that will be able to protect him. You need maybe a double pivot of two hard-working box-to-box players in order to help Arnold relieve him from his defensive duties, because when it comes to 1 versus 1, Arnold is often been criticized as one of the worst right backs in modern football. And to some extent, this is true. Even when he tracks back, when he's been beaten by a player, he just doesn't care. He looks like he's aura farming and he doesn't really care about his defensive side of things. And this might affect him at Real Madrid, because we know Real Madrid is not patient. Unlike Liverpool, they don't have a soft spot for him. So at Liverpool, he was often protected many times. Let's talk about Real Madrid's new coach, Alonso. Here are my expectations for Alonso. Alonso should try and be position number 2 this season in the La Liga. The reason why I say position number 2 is because I feel like Real Madrid are at its building phase right now. I don't expect Real Madrid to win the La Liga this season. I know Real Madrid fans would come at me and tell me that Real Madrid is the biggest team in Spain, the biggest team in Europe. This is actually true, but if you look at Real Madrid last season, they were very poor. And for them to jump and be miles better than Barcelona is a bit unrealistic. So in terms of Xabi Alonso this season, I think his main target should be top 2 and maybe semi-final in the Champions League. And then the following season, maybe the mandate should be to win the La Liga and the Champions League. As we talk about Alonso, here's my fear on Alonso. The dressing room is very, very interesting at Real Madrid. There's a lot of big name players, a lot of player egos. You've got Mbappé, you've got Vinicius, you've got Arnold, Bellingham. And Alonso hasn't had that much experience in terms of dealing with so many egos in one team. So I kind of fear for Alonso that he might not be able to manage the dressing room as well as many other experienced coaches. But I feel like Real Madrid should give him time. I think they should give him 2 seasons. The first season, even if it doesn't win the league or Champions League, it shouldn't be considered a failure. Let's move on to a controversial topic. Real Madrid need a number 9 player, a striker. And I know people will say Mbappé is the striker for Real Madrid, but let's be honest, Mbappé is a better winger than a striker. Mbappé should be better placed as a right winger or a left winger, but as a number 9, he's not effective as a number 9 for Real Madrid because he often drifts wide even when you play him as a number 9. The reason for this is because Mbappé is not the type of player that you'd expect to play as a target man. The type of number 9s that you need for this position, these are number 9s like your Haaland, your Lewandowski, your Gyökeres, people who stay in the box, players who don't drift wide, who can play on the shoulder of a defender, be the target man and drop in and almost play like a false 9. If you look at Mbappé, he doesn't fit this profile. He's a great player, he's a great winger, he can score goals, but when a team is playing a low block and they don't give you enough space to run beside them or alongside the opposition players, Mbappé will suffer because he's not the type of striker whereby you can whip in crosses and expect him to be a poacher. He's more of a player that dribbles past other players to score, or he needs space for him to be effective as a number 9. Let's move on to the kings of position number 3 in La Liga. Atletico Madrid, which are coached by Diego Simeone. Here's my prediction for Atletico Madrid this season. Just like every other season, position number 3, there isn't much to talk about Atletico Madrid except the fact that they play very ugly football. Yeah, you thought I was going to talk about Atletico Madrid, but there's nothing to talk about when it comes to Atletico Madrid. We know them as this team that plays ugly football and they counter-attack to score. So there's nothing to expect. Same old Atletico Madrid, coached by Diego Simeone with his temper issues. That's it, folks. Like, comment, share, subscribe, share with family and friends. I'll be right back like Reece James, hopefully not injured and having proper vocal cords.